Hey everyone, it's me, Dan, and you can see I'm being joined in this video by Brennan Evangelista, who is the co-host on Another Dirty Room, my show that I'm sure you're all aware of. Brennan came to visit me for a week, and we were driving around town looking for stuff to get into. And we happened to stumble across this very old apartment building that had the narrowest steps up I've ever seen in my life. But I the whole time was thinking, how did people even get furniture up these steps? It just seemed kind of like an impossible feat, but I guess they did. I don't know. So anyway, this little apartment building is over on the west side of Baltimore, in what they are now referring to as the Triangle of Death. It's an area of West Baltimore where the most murders occur. And here we are, running around an abandoned building in the middle of it late at night. Probably not the brightest idea, but we shot this on Sunday night, so it was a good night to do this because there was nobody out, nobody to see us. And during the day, I feel like it would be actually more sketchy because that's when people are up and going around, and people need an empty building to go into to do nefarious things. So I felt a little bit more at ease in here in the dark, but not much. So we decided to go to the top floor first, just to check, to make sure that there was nobody in the building with us. And there wasn't, thankfully. But the building sort of gives a snapshot into just really what cruddy kind of apartments there are in Baltimore. I actually lived in a place like this a long time ago, and it was a dump. And, this place is no exception. Total dump. You can see it's been ransacked for probably copper. But you can see how small, like, that's a tiny little bathroom. And there's some stuff. I always find stuff on the medicine cabinet shelves creepy. But here we're going to have a look in this back room, which is actually the bedroom. Well, it's not the back room, it's the front room. But it's the bedroom, one of the bedrooms. There's actually a small room next to this, as you can see. That is what would have been the second bedroom. I don't know how they could call this a 2-bedroom apartment. Because the second bedroom was, you have to walk through the first bedroom. You have to walk through the main bedroom to get into the second bedroom, but I guess it was just poor design, or I don't know what. I don't know if this building was even started life as a apartment building, but it certainly looks like it was an apartment building for a long time, considering the little sign in the window out front. So we're gonna continue on here. The reason I'm putting this audio over this and you're not really hearing it, the camera I was using is a Sony, just sort of a digital picture camera. You know, it just takes digital pictures with a flash. And I picked it up because I thought I could use it in some projects. But I was actually filming using the film option, camera option on the camera. And the audio is just atrocious. It just basically records every noise your face makes. And so for me, it was, you know, whenever I go into these places, I'm nervous. And I'm always like, you know, I get worked up. And so all you hear is me going, and it's like fucking annoying. So I'm doing this voiceover, which is much, much nicer, I think. You can see the original ceilings of the apartment before they put in the drop ceilings, and this horrible wood paneling that is so depressing looking. It's hard to imagine there was a time that wood paneling was like a thing, that people were like, oh, it's so pretty, you put up wood paneling. Because those walls are just, the wood paneling, the sheets are just like maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, and you would just nail them up over the existing walls. And they're so ugly. And here's this lady here, Beatrice Francis, who died in 2010. So she was either, maybe she lived here or her relatives lived here. Or a friend, who knows. And here's a pencil drawing of Lil Wayne by somebody, I don't know, somebody who lived in this room, probably. And it's something from animal control, sort of instructions on how to vaccinate your pet and get the proper tags. And a bunch of basketball stuff. But horribly depressing, these little rooms off to the side. I mean, I don't know, I guess people would set up a second bedroom in there, but it's just so tiny, it's small. And depressing is the main thing. I mean, the apartments are just so depressing. There's only 3 of them. So we just saw the 2, and we're going to this sort of larger apartment that's on the 2nd floor, I think. Yeah. And it's got all the at least, you know, this kitchen is a little more like an actual kitchen instead of a closet. They put up a counter there so you could have your, you know, put out your stuff. And then here's the living room. And I do apologize for the camera work, but I don't think I'll be filming a lot of videos with this camera. It sucks. The iPhone has better quality than this. But we were just very wary of having too much light shining outside. Now this is really weird. There was like a fungus growing on the floor, but it looked like a melted skin or something, and it was freaking me out. So I don't know what that stuff was. It was disgusting. Some kind of a fungus or mushroom, or I don't know what it was. And here's a tiny little bathroom. And they ripped the toilet up to find copper. And then this would be the bedroom, the master, I guess. It's not very big. But if I had to live in the building, I'd take this apartment, not the other two. The other two are so small. So, when we're leaving, we're going down the steps, and the first floor of this building was some kind of a shop, maybe a convenience store or a barber shop or something. of that nature. And they had that pretty much boarded up, so you couldn't get in there. But down the steps here, to the rear of the steps, there was a door that I assume went into the store, or it was another apartment. Hard to say. You can see the layers of years and layers of paint, different colored paints. But, yeah, here we are. I don't know, what am I doing? Looks like I'm being attacked or something, the way that this is being shot. I am not a fan of that camera. I don't think I'll be using it anymore. Other than, I don't know what I would use it for, actually. What a waste of money. Here we are in our next location, and this is literally an entire block of houses that have been fenced off, and they are being demolished any day now. But here I am using this camera again, which I will never use again, but whatever. This particular row of homes is in northeast Baltimore, kind of near the end of North Avenue on the east side. And I have definitely filmed here before. I think I did a live feed or went in. The alley behind this place was pretty tremendous looking when I filmed this. And by the way, this is late at night, probably 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. We actually shot this after doing the Dirty Room live feed. And I guess we were just kind of wired. So I'm like, let's drive around and see if we can see anything. And then this place popped up. And we had some tense moments. You'll see at the end of this. But this is pretty typical decor from probably the early 70s, maybe. Maybe late 60s. Hard to say. It's sort of that linoleum wall covering, which is a big sheet of linoleum. And I guess the idea is that you could have a beautiful design, almost like curtains, or not curtains, but wallpaper. And instead of that, you have a surface that you can spray with cleaner and wipe down. So I guess it was sort of marketed as, have a cleaner home kind of thing. But we go up these little stairs up to the second floor. It's a 2-bedroom house. And here we are going up. Brennan went first. And here we are. And you can see here somebody wrote, "Faith, God is love, not fear. And Jesus saved. Would you like to know more about the Bible?" BGF. Don't know who BGF is. But apparently they were trying to spread the gospel in an abandoned house. I don't know if the person just randomly came in here and wrote the stuff on the wall, but strange place to try to get your message of peace out to the world. I thought this was a bucket full of shit, but it wasn't, thank God. And I laugh, but I mean, you all may think I'm crazy, but these places you will find, especially in the city, you'll find a bucket and it's full of human excrement because people stay in these houses and they don't have any water and no toilet, so they use a bucket. And they usually keep it outside, but sometimes it's inside, and it is nasty. And over here, is this the one where we found all the... Now this is a lot of drug stuff here. Little vials that they would put heroin in. And then here's a wall with just phone numbers on it and sort of sexually explicit graffiti. And then almost like messages from one person to another. Seems like maybe somebody was rotating in and out of here with another person. But definitely it seemed that possibly there was maybe this was used as a trap where, you could where a prostitute could take her John. That's what I'm thinking it was. Down here you see there's cards on the floor. And they're also there are all these sexual positions and triple X and just a weird assortment of stuff, but all of it's, pretty explicit, which leads me to believe that there was probably some kind of prostitution activity going on in this property, probably earlier on, years ago maybe. Okay, here we are getting a look at the front bedroom of this house, and you can see the floor there has kind of seen some better days. And the boards over the windows. It's kind of creepy when you think about how long this house has been in the dark. With the boards over the windows and just how long has it sat in the dark. It's kind of an eerie thing to think about. All those things inside that are just sort of there and sitting there and rotting away, and I don't know, I always kind of think about that. It's almost like we're opening up a tomb, and we're going in to have a look like we're archaeologists in Egypt or something. But this house is in, I would say, a little bit worse condition than the house we were just in. And you can see here, this house actually had a proper kitchen and proper dining room. But the back wall is gone. I don't know if that is from decay or if they maybe pushed it out or something with a bulldozer. It's hard to say. And these stairwells are very, very narrow and very steep. So, like most of these old row homes, it's always sort of the same. The stairwell was always narrow and steep. Because you think the house itself is narrow, so obviously especially if they're putting the steps in the middle of the house instead of on the side of the house. I've seen, just normal steps when they're on the side of the house, but if they put them in the middle, the steeper and the narrower they become. Here's this old bathroom here. Look at that blue toilet. Now, if I were to guess, I would probably say that this place has been abandoned for, I would think 30 years, somewhere around that time. A lot of the stuff you find in here, the mattress and the thing, it just appears to me that it would be 30 years. Because as far back as I can remember, and I've been going to this block for, I mean, I don't know, I just always thought about this block because it was always abandoned and always, just sort of it exemplified Baltimore and what was going on with the houses being abandoned and everything. It sort of exemplified that point. And so I just sort of would always say, let's go up there and look. And but you can see here, this is a old living room here that caved into the basement part of the house. And you can see this tree stump right here, which is probably, I mean, that thing's probably been there for 20 years, growing. Also behind these houses, which we'll see in a little bit, I mean, there's literally trees growing out of the basement. So just to give you a little idea of how long these houses have been in this abandoned condition. But I always think about, the fact that when you look in these houses, you can kind of think and be like, oh, there was Christmases here and Thanksgivings and, birthdays and good days and bad days and that kind of thing. And that the city jobs went away and people left. And that's what you're seeing here. Just for example, the meat factory, a video that I did back in 2015, I think, was a 3-part video, went into the meat factory. Probably one of the most horrifying places I've ever been into to explore. Is the actual location of the meat factory is only about a stone's throw from this street. Here we are behind the houses. So I'm sure I'm sure it's at some point the people who worked at the meat factory were living in these homes. I would say I would at least give the block a 10% inhabitant of people who worked at the Getz's meat plant. And when that closed, this closed, and everybody moved. There's also the old brewery up there in that area that's that's been restored. It's now a Harry Anjanette Weinberg Center, but it's a beautiful brewery. You can actually, if you go to the other side of these houses and look up, you'll see it. It's this giant, huge old brewery building. It's gorgeous. And that was another thing that closed. And, at one time you had the brewery, you had the meat factory, you had jobs, and you had people living in these houses who worked. And it's a shame because now nobody lives here. And a block over is a drug market where people are selling drugs all night, all day. There's murders, multiple murders every month. Just right around the corner from this, where we are right now. Every light pole has teddy bears and balloons tied to it. And then, bottles all around the Crown Royal bottles all around the bottom. And those are the little sort of memorials that people put up for people who were shot and killed. And I love that purple room, by the way. Look at that. It's like everything else is just sort of black and white, and that's an eye-popping purple. It's it's a sad fact about Baltimore. It's just in every city, really, it's the same story over and over again. But this particular spot here, you can point to so many things as to why everyone left, and it's all jobs. Jobs are gone. There's no jobs in this neighborhood anymore. If you want to work, you got to leave the neighborhood to go get a job. You can't just have a job at the meat plant or the brewery or any of the other businesses that used to be up here. There was a grocery store right across the street from this place. Look at this fucking rat. Oh my god. I know there's people who have like pet rats and stuff, but me being from the city, I fucking hate these animals. I can't stand them. They're vermin. They carry disease. They're disgusting. This one obviously is drunk or had obviously just ate something that and is in the process of dying, which I hate to say I'm glad, but I am glad. I hate rats, and that was a big ass rat too. So here's the part where I got kind of nervous. We had a little incident. I didn't really film it, but I told Brennan, I said, jump up here and hide. Cadillac SUV. This is 4:30 in the morning, mind you. But Cadillac SUV pulled up right behind my car. And there was two guys in it, and I told Brennan, I said, I'll just tell them we're looking for a cat or something. Try to explain why we're back here. And as soon as I went out there, they left. So I thought that I thought it was like a foreman or something coming to work on a Monday morning, but it wasn't. Here's a bunch of photos that after the truck left, we went back to, because Brennan said that there were photos, and I said, ooh, but they were just church photos or people in church service, so it was kind of boring. I wanted some pictures of like people in the homes, like, living here, but there was none of that. Because I would love to see what this block looked like when it was inhabited and loved. Anyway, folks, this is reaching the end here. I want to thank everyone for watching. Please follow me on Instagram at thisisdanbell. And be sure to check out my podcast, which we do every week on Tuesday and Thursday. You can do so by going over to patreon.com/thisisdanbell. There's a whole library of past shows, 75 shows in total, and we do two new shows every week. So make sure you go over and check that out. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.